Daniel Dubois just cracked AJ. What's next for him? And we need to revisit Canelo-Berlanga. All coming up on Tough Talk Tuesday.
This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
Welcome to another episode of Tough Talk Tuesday. As always, I'm your host. Stop me. I got James. How's it going? And Rob.
Good.
Hey, guys.
Good.
All right. I'd love to jump in and talk about AJ and Dubois' knockout of him, but I think we need to backtrack. Let's take a step back. We've been out for a week or so, and we've had a big pay-per-view. So let's talk Canelo-Berlanga. First, the undercard. Raleigh Romero, let's skip over that. Now, was Plant McCumbee not the show stealer?
Yes.
Not only was it the show stealer, but that was a hell of a performance and fight. It really was. It was a hell of a fight, and it was a hell of a performance. That's somebody going mano-a-mano and not taking any shit in that fight. McCumbee has very, very powerful hands. He has a lot of power in those punches. I don't know if it's homegrown or if it's manufactured by something else, but he had a lot of power in those hands. And Caleb Plant was just like, basically, I'm not taking this shit. Or I should say, I'll take it, but I'm going to give it right back to you. That to me is definitely possible fight of the year candidate. I don't know what y'all think, but I thought it was a hell of a fight.
Well, I'm one who wants to see McCumbee, even if he's a trumper. I'm okay.
He makes for entertaining, yeah.
If he's going to get in the ring and entertain, I don't care who he votes for, or, whatever the fuck. If he wants to make America great again, make it. No, the idea is that was an electrifying fight, and it's too bad that it was below the co-main because the co-main was actually a going-away party or a retirement party for Danny Garcia.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
I don't know what else to call it, man, but the only thing about that fight with McCumbee and Plant, man, it's one of the best fights I've seen in a long time. I could do without the clowning around and the hip shaking and all that. That's but that's just Plant, selling.
Oh man, I love that, James.
Yeah, I'm not really into that, man. I'd rather see it for every little spin of his hips or whatever you call it. I would rather see him throw a punch.
Yeah,
and he's connected, but McCumbee proved to be a very, very durable fighter. Hats off to McCumbee. But Plant's a little bit special. He's definitely up there at 168. He's I think either 2 or 3, depending on how you look at it. It looks like the Cuban kid moved up to 75, right? So that eliminates him there. Yeah, I mean, he's the real deal. And if he's going to rematch Canelo, which I think is a possibility now. What do you guys think?
I think it's possible because I think they're kind of running out of certain opponents. And right now he makes his best case. And I think Plant screamed it from a mountaintop as he was beating up McCumbee. He gave him the double Hulk Hogan, which I don't, me, guys. I am not for the flashy stuff. I don't like Roy Jones, winding his hand up before he punches people. I don't like that shit. I like to treat it like a sport. But in this case, I got to admit, there was a smile on my face when he gave them both the Hulk Hogans. And then he landed like a fucking 6-punch combination, and every single punch landed. I mean,
he backed it up, man.
It was a sight to see.
He got mean when he was getting nailed. He was getting nailed, and he just put his fist on his chest and was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm in here. I'm gonna take this. I'm in here. let's get to business. And then, like you just said, Ralph, a combination that landed. It was just an amazing performance by Caleb Plant. First off, second of all, Caleb needed to get this respect back, okay? Because outside of the ring, he's been getting disrespected awful.
Ouch.
By other fighters, right? Outside of the ring. He's been getting mad disrespected. Berlanga disrespected him in the build-up to this fight while he's supposed to be talking to Canelo. I think he let all of that fuel him in this fight, did Plant. And like Lucas said, he absolutely stole the show. Canelo, the funny part about that, guys, is they're now friends. They are now friends. They met prior to this fight. They are now friends. So I don't know if he's going to get another shot at Canelo. But what is very interesting to me now is you do have these guys, and we'll talk about Berlanga here in a minute, and we'll also talk later on about Mikaela. But those guys are still relevant in this division and are still very viable opponents, not just for each other, but for a Caleb Plant. So you have kind of like this second tier of fighters right now that I could definitely see going at each other and having these classic style battles in this division.
I do think he's near the top of this division right now. Really, the only guys that will fuck with him, I think, are guys that are too big for the division. They're doing the Canelo playbook where they're draining and then gaining back weight. So, like David Benavidez did, I think he was able to just absorb everything that Caleb Plant could dish out. It's just too much. But if you are the same size and you're not having that big size advantage, I think Caleb Plant is really going to be able to hang in there with anyone.
Yeah, but Benavidez did it with Gvozdyk as well. He took whatever Gvozdyk had to offer.
Yeah.
Didn't shake him very much.
No, he's an absorber. Yeah.
He's a shock absorber. So that's
he really is.
A new boxing term there. So, the question that we always ask on the show is who's next? And I'm thinking, and I'd love it, Jaime Munguia against Caleb Plant.
He's another guy, though, that I feel can go up in weight. So I do think he's one of those that could absorb a lot of Caleb Plant's blows and eventually walk him down.
Yeah, but anyone can go up in weight. The idea is that, like, if you look at
meaning he's more of a natural higher weight, though.
Yeah,
like he's cut.
Two things about Munguia, but one is that at the weigh-in he looked fine. He didn't look drained. He didn't look, all pasty and whatever you call it. No, he looked great, and he was upbeat, and so I think it was a good count for him, and so he's at a good weight. And then also the other thing about Munguia is that he's boxing better than he's ever boxed. He never looked so good. A couple of years ago, he was still lunging forward. Hello, Sakura.
Hey.
And he was still lunging, and he was still, throwing those wild punches, Navarrete style. He was still doing a lot of that stuff. And it seems like he's a more refined fighter. And so I'd like to get your guys' opinion on Munguia's style.
I will later. When we get to Mikaela, I definitely address that. But I agree a lot with you.
Plant, and I understand that, but
he's making a connection. Yeah,
I'm hoping that Plant and Munguia meet down the road very soon. In fact,
and how those styles could match up.
Yeah.
Well, I agree a lot with James is saying, especially with the fact that I don't think he's a heavier fighter at the weight. I think he does handle it well. I think he
did he already have problems making weight before? Or am I making that up?
I've never heard it. No,
James
no. He might have.
No, I think he's good. I think he's been pretty.
He's never had a problem making weight, Munguia.
No, I think not since early in his career. I think
Maybe that's just in my
I
head.
think
don't
it
know.
was
I coulda
early in his
swore.
career,
yeah, I
Shakur.
think like maybe the
When he
second fight he had problems with after he won the belt from Ali
when
that
he was
time.
still at 154. Right.
Yeah,
I
and
think that was when he was still at 154.
So
I
Damian
mean,
was at 147.
I like Mikaela style. I think that everybody is seeing that with every fight, you can see improvement with
Yeah, you're
him.
right.
But what I really liked about what was happening with him in this fight this past weekend was that he really was listening to everything that his corner instructed him to do. So, I mean, you know, if you ask trainers, they always say, like, what's the best boxer? They say the one that actually listens to what I say. You know what I'm saying? Like they skip over like their skill set, their natural talent, all of that. A lot of them say that it's the boxer that actually will listen. So I mean, it's a great thing when he has a team with him that he respects and listens to like that. I think it's like, an extra bonus and an extra almost tool in your tool shed when you actually can listen to what your corner is telling you to do. And he definitely was doing that. So I mean, hats off to Eric Morales and team Monkey Out, because getting back with his home set of trainers seems to be a positive thing for Monkey Out, in his boxing.
For sure. I would love to see this matchup. And Plant,
Mhm.
just by his last fight, I don't know. He seems to have problems with the bigger types in that division. I would say the ones that would be able to move up comfortably. Plant, I feel like he's kind of maxed out. I don't think he should go up and weight. I think that would be terrible for him. But you can see the style and the size of Mungiao translating up. You can see Benavidez translating up. Berlanga, those body sizes, I mean, they're already bigger. They're going to be able to take a lot of his power, it not being it's not A class power, right? I mean, he has good power, but it is definitely not top of the division.
Well,
You're talking Mungia's
I'm
power?
talking Caleb Plant.
Caleb Plant.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think when he was at
hence,
lower weight classes, the power was more pronounced. But now that he's up there with the big boys and, like you said, feeling more maxed out on weight, then it's not going to have the same effect that it had when he was, more of what I consider a classic Caleb Sweet and Plant from like, 147, 154 zone. When he was down in that weight class area, it seems like he had more power. And a lot of it had to do with just how quick he was too. He's not as fast as I don't think he's as fast as he was earlier in his career at a lower weight. But you know how these guys, these boxers, they have to go where the money is. And 160 is like a dead division almost right now. And so you almost kind of like are going from 154 and up to 168 to get the money fights. People are skipping over that 160 zone. But you're right. I don't see him at 168. No.
No, and I really do see Plant. He's being so fan friendly. I would like to
Mhm.
see the Crawford fight. Fuck it. If he don't want a Canelo rematch, why not Crawford come up to fight Plant? I mean, that's if you beat Plant, that's your stepping stone. You deserve the Canelo fight after that. You know what I mean? It's there. I think it makes good TV too.
And you're talking Crawford
Big pay-per-view
Canelo.
fight.
Crawford
No,
Canelo.
Crawford,
No,
Crawford
I'm
No, I know you.
talking
Plant.
I know you meant Plant.
eventually,
I
but
just said
yeah.
you said Plant,
Oh,
but
okay.
in the end,
Yeah.
Oh,
ultimately, it would be like Crawford Canelo.
I
No,
don't
I'm
know.
I
just
don't
Think
know.
that
I
I'm
would
don't
be
know.
a
I
so
don't know
good
if he
against.
gets
measuring
five
stick.
Plant.
No,
I
Well,
mean,
man.
I don't think it's a good measuring stick because Canelo and Plant are such different boxing types, like they
No,
don't have the same styles at all, so it wouldn't really prepare Bud for anything but the weight, like because it wouldn't be like him preparing for
but
a similar style as
look,
Canelo's.
you're
Lucas,
right.
I see what you're
But
doing. I'm hip to you right now. I
what
see what you're doing.
am I doing? What am
you're a
I being
matchmaker.
accused
It's
Yeah,
of
total
right
you
matchmaker.
are. you
The total
already said
matchmaker.
that you feel like Berlanga, even though they're at the weight, let's just put that out there. Even though they're at the weight, you think Berlanga and Mungiao are too big for Caleb Plant. So now you're gonna say go ahead and have Caleb go down and pick on somebody who's actually gonna
No,
come
not
up
go
in
down.
Oh.
Do 168.
No, yeah, he's coming up to
saying,
168, right? Because he's
Yeah,
preparing to
that's
take
what
on
you
Canelo.
that's
He's
what you're
chasing the
trying to
Canelo
do.
fight.
That's what you're trying to say, and I can't allow you to do that, okay? Caleb Plant is at the weight. I don't want to see Crawford there. I want to see Mungiao and I want to see Berlanga. And I really want to see that next bout with Berlanga because they have a grudge match. They hate each other. That buildup is going to be just like Benavidez' Plant was. And guess what? Somebody's going to get the hell beat out of them in that fight.
I mean, I agree with you. It's going to be a good fight. But I said what I said.
And Berlanga Berlanga did all right. And, let the truth be told. He did okay.
He did okay.
He's not at Canelo. He's not Canelo's level.
But he was also like
better than people thought, though.
But he was also 200 pounds.
Agreed.
He was 200 pounds going that fight.
He was.
He lasted when others haven't lasted a 12 rounds with Canelo.
Hold on. He was 193, so 25 pounds over the weight limit, right?
And see,
does that ring a bell? Does that ring a bell? 25 pounds? Anybody? Come on, everybody! All y'all, 25 pounds.
Not really. If you're talking about Canelo, nobody mentioned what size Canelo was that night. Like if they still are the same size.
But my point is that Canelo was shitting on this fight with Benavidez because what does Benavidez have to offer besides another 25 pounds? Guess what, mofo?
Yeah, and then he's fighting a guy that's coming in 25 pounds. Yeah, make it make sense.
What do they say? What comes around goes around.
Yeah, he was bullshitting this entire time.
Well, you know what? His bullshit is kind of weak. It really is.
I feel like nobody mentioned what the size that Canelo was that night. So to me, they probably were around the same size.
That's
night.
A good point. Yeah, I think they overshadowed that with, hey, look, he's fighting somebody 25 pounds. Okay, well, how big is Canelo? And nobody bothers to ask that.
That's important. That's important to note. So that's a good point. I would think that he was like right around where Berlanga was. Give or take a pound or two. Who gives a F about that?
And that's what I mean. Like when it comes to size, I think Plant pound for pound is better than these guys. But you come in 25 pounds over, you're going to kick the shit out of Caleb Plant because you're going to be able to walk through those punches and land yours. That's all it comes down to.
And that's what I didn't like about the Berlanga setup with him. I felt that was going to be similar. Like, what could Caleb Plant do to affect somebody the size of Benavidez? I didn't think that was going to be challenging.
The Benavidez, no.
Yeah, like
the
so.
The Benavidez, no. But the Berlanga, Caleb has more skill than Berlanga, more experience. Mungiao, he has more skill. He has more experience. Yes, I get it. He's not a one-hitter quitter. No. Hence why the TKO with McCumbee came at a barrage of punches. But his accuracy, his skill level, remember, he hung in there along with Canelo as well before he got caught. So that all comes to play and will play out with those two bouts against Berlanga and Mungiao.
Well, I just wanted to say I'm super proud of Caleb Plant and how he was able to show us that he is a real warrior and a real champion. If people didn't know already, now they truly know that he's willing to come off the canvas and still pull out a huge KO.
No, he paid the price. I mean, McCumbee gave him a good fight. I was really happy about that. I thought that was a good bout. Too bad it wasn't a co-main event because that didn't exactly pan out. But in the end, to me, I think the next one for Plant, Munguia.
Yeah, and shout out to McCrumbie too, because a lot of
well,
people
yeah, for
didn't
sure.
feel like he was going to have much to offer either, and
But
he showed that hey, he could make that a competitive bout.
yeah,
So shout out to him as well.
but there's some other players involved in there, and I think one of them is Mbili. And I don't know too much about him. I've
Yes.
not seen him fight, but Christian Mbili, I guess he's is he
Mhm.
Canadian? Um,
Yeah, Canadian. He's a Canadian, but I only seen him one other time when he was on a different card.
yeah,
Um, and he didn't really impress me that night, but then he was
20.
fighting someone kind of awkward, I remember.
Mhm.
So you know how it's kind of hard to gauge someone's skill level when they're fighting someone that's, got more of a awkward style.
20,
So
28, no, 23 KOs. I'm looking at Papa Breck, and uh, yeah, I mean that's a killer record. So I mean, even he and Mungia, or he and if Plant was to see this guy next, I wouldn't miss that for the world.
yeah, for
That's a
sure.
good fight. That's a really, really good fight right there.
It's a
Well,
good
let's
call out.
let's let's talk about Plant McCumbee should have been co-main, but let's talk real co-main. Lara versus Garcia.
Like I said, it was a nice retirement party. Let's move on.
I I feel
I'm
like I
sorry,
feel
but
like
Laura didn't look like he was trying to retire. I didn't see that.
Well,
no,
I do want
he
him to
Garcia,
go
actually looked
ahead.
somewhat annoyed with Danny. Like, come on,
Yeah,
man, you gonna fight or what? Like, he wanted the fight, and
yeah.
he's very disappointed that he's like, dude, I wanted to get Danny Garcia on my resume. He's like, this does not even count. Like, I
I
don't know.
mean,
I feel like Garcia stole everybody's money. Should I stream the fight? And I still feel like I got my money stole from him.
But
Look, you know, I don't care. I don't care. Look, listen, you know in camp that ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? You took the shots, you realized it ain't there no more, but you said, fuck that, I'm going to make that money. I mean, that's how you make your money, so I guess you got to. But you knew ahead of time that this was a money grab. Damn it, and
well,
I'm not
yeah, it
happy
was.
well,
about it.
what I tell y'all?
It,
What did I tell y'all? I said this was gonna be a fight that's gonna make me want to fast forward it live,
oh yeah,
right?
you were talking about being sleepy and all of that, and it ended up
Right.
being so
And
true.
it exactly was that.
this
I
was
mean,
going
for
away.
me, I'm like, are they trying to set up a Canelo versus Lara 2 like rematch or something? Because they were just so like stringent on this being the co-main event for some reason. When I felt like for sure Caleb Plant fight could have been a co-main event. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So I
yeah.
was wondering if there was some kind of strategy behind that to where, Canelo, I mean, Lara is the only guy that really Canelo can say people think he beat me. Like, I mean, I know I thought that Lara did enough in that fight against Canelo. So it's a lot of people out there that feel that way. Maybe this is setting up Canelo versus Lara too. I don't know. Like, but Lara looked good, but he was like looking a little frustrated for sure that he wasn't getting no type of action back from
Mm-hmm.
Garcia.
Well,
Um,
I mean, if you're of Laura's style per se, you need a opponent coming at you. If they're not coming at you,
So you can't
there's
counter if
really
they're
there's
not.
there's
Yeah.
really nothing there. I mean, it's just it doesn't add up mathematically, let's say, or
Well, there was
physically.
enough there for
Um,
Garcia to get that TKO action.
but
Yeah.
you gotta want it. That's one of the things a coach in high school football used to
Uh-huh.
say. You have
Mm-hmm.
to want. You have to have desire.
Yeah. Very
And
true.
to me, I think Danny Garcia's MO here was make it through and hopefully hear the final bell and then walk away. But I mean, he took a soft. I didn't think that punch was that devastating that took him down. It was
Not at
kind of
all.
like a little check left,
Mm-hmm.
and it caught him flush. Yeah, but it wasn't like a super hard power punch. And
I
he
think he
couldn't.
just didn't think that was
He,
coming. I think that's what it was.
who knows what it was. Maybe he didn't have the sparring rounds that he should have had with the right people. Maybe it was just his mentality that night, his psyche. It just wasn't there. But in the end, Danny Garcia showed up 50%, 50%,
I
and
mean, You
That's
you
not
think it
enough.
was 50? I'm
This.
trying to tell you, like I'm gonna be very, very hard on Garcia. I don't know if that was 50%. But
Well,
like you
no,
said, you gotta want it. And there
you
was
have,
no even basic look of wanting to win this fight.
but you have every right to say that because people are paying hard-earned cash to
Yeah.
watch this shit, unless you're streaming. And the truth is, I was really, really disappointed. I thought this guy would go out, like balling, just throwing blows left and right and trying to, destroy Lara. It was the exact opposite. I thought
Well,
we're going to see an electrifying Danny Garcia come back, get his, and get out kind of thing. The old, what do you call it? The Tough Talk Tuesday
Lucas.
manna is get in, get off, and get out. He
Yeah.
didn't do that. That was not his.
Yeah,
No, he
That was not
didn't.
his. That
that's
was not.
Lucas is
Was
saying,
not his. Get yeah. It was not his mo. It
but I
I
was
saw two women. I saw two women heavyweights retirement bouts, and damn it, they went at it the entire time. And I mean, they was throwing bombs the whole time. I'm like, damn, I'm thinking it's gonna be like an exhibition type fight because it's their retirement. You know what I'm saying? And they looked kind of heavy and for heavyweights and damn it, they like made it count. They wanted like
it's
a brawl in their last
it's
retirement fight.
it's exactly what I was expecting from Garcia.
Yeah.
That he would get in there and just try to destroy Lara. Sorry, it just didn't pan out. It was
so
I saw him walk away with his tail between his legs,
Mm.
so
and that's sad. It's really sad.
I think James you made a good point with Danny Garcia is um he knew, obviously he had to have known. He knew coming into this fight he wasn't prepared. He wasn't ready. And I think the layoff, the pre-retirement talk, I think all of that laid into that. As far as him retiring, he didn't seem to insinuate to me after the fight as if he wanted to retire. Angel said whatever he wants to do at this point, I'm okay with it. I honestly think that Danny just wanted to get in the ring and show something, even though he knew he wasn't going to give us 50% even.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, though, we're missing a point. And that point is at this age in this career, Lara has what, 5 KOs now? The last 5 fights. 5 KOs. We need to give credit where credit is due here with the older fighter who's stepping in no matter who he faces and getting the job done. And not only is he doing that, but he's finding power at a heavier weight class. And he's finding power like he's never had before. So I want to tilt our attention a little bit here to Islandy Lara. And yes, Shakur, if he wants that tilt with Canelo again, I'm for it. I want to
Okay.
see it.
Yeah, why not? I
Don't
mean,
shake your head at me,
he's
Hobby.
definitely earned that position.
I'll
He's earned it
I'll
at this
I'll
point
I'll shake my head at you.
Yeah.
because we thought that
I'll
he
shake
should
my
have
head at you.
received. What I'm saying is, we
He
thought
beat
he
Canelo
should
the
have got the
first time.
rematch. Guys,
I
come
He
He
on
did
did.
now.
not.
Yeah.
He did
He
not.
did.
He did
No,
He
not.
no.
did.
What I'm
He
saying
did
is, we
not.
thought that Canelo should have gave him the rematch the first time
By the
because it
way,
was controversial. Yes, back
he beat
then.
him.
So in that respect, the fact that he's still in the game, he's at 160, and he has KO'd his last couple of opponents.
Yeah, but at what
Why?
level?
He should allow.
Why?
They should allow it.
No, I don't
Nah,
think so.
I feel. I
I don't think
personally,
so.
I personally feel like Lara is not the Lara that gave Canelo problems. The Lara that gave all these opponents that everybody was avoiding when he was at 154.
Well,
For
of
example,
course, that's correct.
so
Yes, you're
definitely
right.
that's not him. Yeah, I felt like he won the first fight, and Canelo didn't want a rematch. Canelo didn't even want to fight him in the first place, so he talked his way to the fight. Now, when it comes to Danny, yeah, I'm just like you guys. I was disappointed, but at the same time, it's not like Danny always been this aggressive. come forward fighter and stuff like that. So I wasn't really expecting all of that. I was expecting him to have a little more fight in him, and it felt like like I don't even think he was hurt of the left hand. I felt like he pretty much just checked out. He saw what was coming, and he didn't want to go through it. He's like, you know what, let me just get out what I can. And I mean, in a way, I'm not mad at that because he pretty much didn't want to take extra hits because it was gonna go down the hill from there. And two, yeah, I mean, I was disappointed because I was actually expecting more out of that fight than the main event. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I don't think it takes two to tango. I don't think even Lara being the less moving target and being more stationary nowadays. Even he had a hard time finding Danny. He was be the one coming forward when he's actually the one doing circles around guys. He was the one coming forward trying to cut the ring on Danny, and trying to apply some boxing. But no, it takes two to tango. I think Danny,
Exactly.
the hunger's not there. You know what I'm saying? The hunger's not there anymore.
That
He,
part.
he pretty much he showed up. I don't want to say he showed up for a check. I don't want to say also that he knew that he was at 50% and he still show up. But I felt like he tried, and then when he got in there and he realized the heat, he was like, no, this is I don't want to get in the kitchen. Not tonight. You know what I'm saying? So
Did
Yeah.
Danny have two fights at 154, or was
I
it
think
just one fight at
I think one.
154?
I think one.
I
And
think
I
he did
then
think
one
now it
before
was
this
two
one.
years later, and he's at 160.
Yeah, mind
I
you,
mean,
Lara is
yeah,
already at
catch
160.
weight, catch
Right, it was
weight.
a catchway of 157 because he requested
157.
it.
I mean, but it's
Right,
still under 160, so
right. I mean,
you
but
know.
then he requested that because he didn't want to do 154 and he didn't want to go to 160 like Lara. I'm not sure if weight was an issue with him, but I felt like mentally Danny is not is the hunger's not there. I just feel like he doesn't have that hunger anymore. Might
Well,
be some personal problems, but at the same time, guys, I'm not gonna jump the gun. I realize Father Time has taken a toll on Lara, and as
Yeah.
great as he is, and I'm so glad that everybody's appreciating him now because now let's Lara this, Lara that. Before it was, oh, he's a runner. Oh, this guy's a
Not me.
track and field athlete. Oh,
Yeah, I
blah blah
was hearing
blah.
people say that too.
Yeah, so
Yep.
now
I didn't.
everybody
I
that
didn't
was saying
say
he's a
that.
runner,
Lucas will tell you
you know,
that.
they're rooting for Lara, and I love to see it. I love to see that a man finally getting his flowers. But at the same time, let's
But they
be honest
doing
here.
that, Javi, because he's stationary. He's more stationary now, with
Right,
his older age, and there's nothing
right.
wrong with that. But that's why
Nothing
they're
wrong with
liking
that.
him now. But
But
you're
at the
right.
same
Back when
time,
he was showing his Cuban pedigree, people was talking shit and being like,
yep,
"Oh, he ran the whole
yep,
fight with Canelo and this and that," when he was just outboxing him. But that's
yep.
why I say I believe he still would have earned a shot at Canelo in a rematch because he was denied that rematch when it would have been in his prime, right?
Yeah,
So,
I wouldn't want to see it though. Personally, I feel like he's already. You go up the levels till you
yeah.
reach the top, and it comes a time where you stay there on the top if you elite like he was, but then nobody can be Father Time, and it comes a point where your boxing is there, your abilities are there, your skills are there, but Father Time slowly, gradually start bringing you down the levels because all these opponents that he had, and even Danny included, that was like a B plus Danny. That wasn't an A plus Danny that we've seen against Amir Khan, against Sean Porter, Errol Spence, and even though he lost those fights, that we like it was like we still saw Danny trying until the end. He never gave up.
I
Thurman
mean, but
and all
that's
the stuff.
kind of like you're
Yeah, you're
saying,
right.
but that's Garcia. What we're
Yeah,
saying is,
yeah.
who else was Lara gonna fight? Because at 160, you only have a few players, including Jennebeck, who recently didn't make his own
Oh, he's
weight
done
for
with
his
150.
fight.
He's done with
So
160.
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so he probably ain't even gonna make 160
No,
again.
and I don't
So
think Lara's gonna
therefore,
fight
that
that guy.
division, right? So who does Laura really have to fight at 160?
Remember that there was at some point there was a conversation when he was holding the belt at 154. One of the
Uh-huh.
Charlies was holding the belt, and they both being stable mates. They said it, yo. Even though we're under the same umbrella, we will make it
We will
business and
fight.
we will make that happen. So I wouldn't mind that, being that
Yeah.
Charlo also has been on laid off, and I'm sure he has some
Hiatus.
rush. I feel like also at 160 you have Derevchenko. He's still active at 160. A southpaw from Ukraine. That
Acabao.
yeah,
Well,
but
his last
there's a
fights were
few
at
Lara.
guys.
168.
There's a few guys. He moved up. I think he was still at 160.
He fought
Derevchenko.
Mungiao. Remember, he fought Mungiao at
Yeah, he
168,
did.
and then
He
Right.
he
did. But
just
he's
had
he's
that
pretty
fight
much
where he broke his arm. What was it? Something in
bicep.
his. Yeah, something happened in the fight injury. So that was
Hmm.
another 168. I mean,
Yeah, that was
obviously he could
against
come down because he really isn't a 168 fighter to
but
me.
I got a
Yeah.
question for you guys. Here's one thing. Garcia Lara, was that for a belt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Really?
How is it?
WBC.
And it
Lara
was a
had
How
the
is
What
that?
belt was
catchweight.
it?
WBC belt
How is that
A
possible?
WBC belt.
because you're under.
Yeah.
It's a 160-pound
Bell.
belt, and they made under 160.
He's
They
never
Okay,
both
fought at
so then
they
160.
both
How's he fighting for a
didn't go
belt?
over
Listen.
160.
Well, listen
But
here.
how's he fighting for a belt if he's
at
never fought at
157.
160?
That's Lucas's
He,
Because
he
you
argument.
gotta, if even if it was 160, you
it's
still have to
Lucas as
be
well.
under 160.
Argument. Yeah. Go ahead, Lucas, because
That
that's
is
your
just
argument.
ridiculous because he
I
was ranked
mean,
kind of high, and he was ranked up
Or you
there,
saying
but he's never
Garcia?
fought in
How's
the
Garcia?
he has never Garcia. He's never fought in the division, and he was ranked 10.
and he's
Never
never
ever.
even
This
titled
is
in the division below it. If that was the case, then I could say, we can run off that. If you're a champion in this division, you want to go up,
only in boxing does
Well,
this shit
well,
happen.
I'll say
found
this.
money.
Kudos,
money.
because this weekend, the Josh Warrington fight, they denied him a title shot in that fight because they deemed him not worthy enough for the title.
And what
And
belt?
his opponent
Josh
had the
Warrington.
title. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And his opponent had the title. So, that type of stuff I give credit to when I see that happen. I don't know if y'all saw the Josh Warrington fight, but yeah, that's what happened in the fight was they said his opponent could lose his title by losing the fight, meaning
Right.
vacate it, but Josh Warrington can't win the title because they said they deemed him not
I don't like
capable.
that either. I don't feel
Yeah,
like
it's not-
Josh Warrington is a he's been through some wars and he's like earned a fight
Well,
to,
we
to
all
be
saw
able
what
to.
happened there.
It
At the
doesn't
end of that
matter.
fight.
The point
But
is
you're
like
right,
how they
right,
gonna deem
right.
somebody unworthy that's been
That
already a
seems,
world
Because
champion
he
before?
it seems,
was.
but
And
it
if you're
seems
going to
very,
deem it
was.
unworthy, don't have the fight.
yeah,
The
it's
fight, deem it,
disrespectful.
yeah.
The two fighters.
You say you don't get a shot, you don't fight it still and get the money.
The
Like, that's
two
kind of
fighters,
the
the
point.
two fighters agreed to the fight, Lucas. That has
I don't
nothing to
give a
do
shit.
with it. That has
It's still
nothing to do with the
sanctioned,
sanctioning
bro.
body.
It does. It has to be sanctioned
So
by
anyway.
somebody. It's not an illegal street fight. It has to be sanctioned.
Back
And
to
then-
Laura.
I
Back
mean,
to
I
Laura.
just
I
feel
would
like
look at-
Warrington is an established boxer. He's been a champion before, and there's no need to say, "Oh well, he doesn't deserve a title shot" when you allow everybody
They-
else to.
They knew what was going to happen. Okay, the man retired in the center of the ring at the end of the fight. Okay, they knew that.
What-
And
did he-
that's what
It
Danny.
doesn't matter.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
And that's what Danny should do. He laid the gloves out in the middle of the ring as a gesture, and we all know what that means. That means he's hanging them up, and that's what Danny
a
Garcia
moment.
should do. Now let me go back to Laurie.
He
here
should
saying
have,
this.
but Danny might get back there
Danny
for
didn't
another
even
payday.
stop the fight. Angel stopped the fight. He didn't
Yeah.
even give Danny a chance to be like, "Yo,
No.
get me out of here."
The
He was
Angel
just
was
like,
What I
"That's
remember,
it.
guys,
the
That's
whole
it.
time.
I'm done with you."
What I remember is Danny came into the corner, and before he sit down, he looked at his dad. His dad asked him something.
He
Danny
did,
shake his head, and that's when they waived the fight.
Yeah.
So it's not like his dad made the decision. He probably made the decision with the second coach. He looked at Danny on the way back to the corner. Or you see Danny's moving his head, and then his father said, "Okay, that's it."
Yeah.
So he pretty much. That's what I say. I'm not gonna say he gave up, but I felt like Danny checked out. He said, "No, let's I'll come back another night because he already
But yeah,
was
he
gonna go down
probably
there."
realized like, damn, he is too slick for me, and he's
I've seen
setting
that happen.
traps, and I'm not looking good. That's what he was saying in his mind.
Well,
I've seen
I
that
wanna
happen
go-
before. You guys, right quick, like long story short,
Sure.
there was Eric Morales was fighting. I won't say who, but he landed on his ass against the ropes, and he looked at his corner and said, "Nope," and that was it. And I'm not going to say his opponent's name, but it sounds like Pacquiao.
But
And that was it. It's
I
like
thought you
no,
were gonna
no.
mention when he fought Danny Garcia and Danny Garcia ended
Yeah.
his career, and now it's
Oh,
full circle where it
that's
looks like
funny.
yeah,
Laura
that's a
is
That's
good
there's
ending
one.
so
his
much.
That's a
career. I
good
thought, I
one.
There's that
thought you were gonna say,
relationship. There's that
That's a
relationship
good
there.
one.
That you know what, man, you have a great memory.
But
So
Good boxing memory,
"Thank
Sakura.
you."
it
My
sounds like you
boxing
guys
memory
are
is not
kind of
Points.
bad.
split. Like Danny may actually come back because Rob, you said
No,
Rob's putting more on Laura's power even than Danny Garcia is what
well,
he made it
let
seem
me
like.
say
So
this because I wanted to get back to Laura before we get off this topic.
good because we're changing topics.
And I know we are. So I'm just want to say this, and I don't give a damn what anybody else on here says. Laura's a Hall of Fame fighter. Period. Period.
But true.
Okay. He is a Hall of Famer.
And
Facts.
I'm glad he's over 135, or else you
okay,
wouldn't count him.
and and he did not
Damn
beat
right,
Canelo.
Howdy.
He did not beat Canelo.
He beat Canelo.
He
He
He did
did.
beat
not.
Canelo.
He
He did
did.
not
He
beat
beat
Canelo.
Canelo.
He
In
did
my
not.
Hold on.
opinion.
Canelo
In my
won by
opinion.
split decision,
Look,
and that's one
In
of the
my
things.
opinion.
It's 4
Uh,
to 1, James. Give
I
it
gotta
no,
up.
I
no,
gotta
look,
say it
no.
because I don't ever get to Rob.
Say
What
it.
the what the judges say? What the judges
Thank
say, Rob?
you.
That's how you say it to me.
No, but
Thank
Lucas, what do
you.
you really think? Lucas,
That's a good point.
It was a
Lucas.
close fight. I would push to Laura or a draw.
I know I've heard you say that before, so I know
Thank
it's 4
you.
against 1, James. You are like
No, no,
not
no.
gonna
Here's one
win
thing.
this one.
I'm going to bring up
Maybe we
something
should
real
all
quick.
rewatch that.
Okay,
I'd like to rewatch
Yeah.
that
I
fight.
agree with that, but I want to say something real quick that's
Go ahead, Jake.
totally aside from the conversation. Is that in boxing we have that habit of changing history, and we can't. I've heard
Yeah.
people say, "Oh yeah, no, Lomachenko beat Haney." I'm like, look the fucking record up. It's not like that. You can't change history in boxing, and it happens a lot. And I know it's an opinionated thing, and that's all fine. But we got to watch it. This is the only sport where
I
people
think we
say,
should hold on
"Let's."
to that because
It's very
BoxRec is
unique.
not telling the full story in a lot of these fights.
It's
And if
not,
you
but
and
it's
if
the
we the
but
fans are not around to say how Ish really went, it
it's
gets
not the full.
lost. And then 30
It's
years from now, somebody looks it up. They just look on BoxRec and they think, according to these judges' scores, they be like, damn, he blew this person out.
yeah, but
And the
it's
real
definitive.
facts are that
It,
no, this was a
it's
tightly contested fight.
it's
They
not
don't
the
show
full.
that on BoxRec.
It's not the full story, but it's definitive. In the case of Lomachenko, as an example, Lomachenko, Haney,
I say you
Haney
got the
won.
technical winner and then you got the fans winner.
Yeah,
Sometimes
but
they
Hold on
yeah,
don't,
then. I got a
they're
but
not
question for the whole
equivalent.
panel.
Am I right,
it's not
Javi? Am I
official.
right, guys?
Cause
You
It's not
have a
and Luke
official.
technical
started this.
decision and
Hold
And
then
up.
you got a
I don't.
I
fans
got you.
decision.
Hey, but
Me
yes, Robert,
Go, Jake.
that's all cool. Robert, that's all cool. But Sakura, I don't disagree with you. You got a good point.
So I have a
What's that,
question
Rob?
for the whole panel because me and Lucas started this damn website on this topic right here. Okay, so since all of y'all are saying this right now, then all of y'all agree with me that Tim Bradley beat Manny Pacquiao.
No, you
According to,
didn't
I
bring
mean,
that one up.
according to James' logic, then we can say that Bradley beat Pacquiao, and we all know he didn't. You
This
know
No,
what
is
I'm saying?
good.
And
no,
You're
yeah,
Listen,
no. Yeah,
right. That's
no. What
what
did they
listen,
he's
say?
saying.
What
listen.
did
I'm
This
they
just
is
not.
say?
I'm just
this is
you know what?
why.
There's some really weird decisions out there. I'm not going to
Very.
argue with those.
Yeah.
But once that is cast in stone, let's say, it's done.
Yeah, but
And
the problem is
Laura,
what I'm
but
saying, James, is like
you,
you can even think somebody won and they did win
yeah.
technically in the box rec, but then the judges score still don't show that it was a competitive fight. It might have it where
of
it's
course not. You need to go
like
back and watch it for
totally.
yourself.
Yeah,
Right.
like but everybody don't got time to do that, and they're looking up facts and they're looking up
Exactly. Yeah.
people's records, and they're not seeing the full picture. That's what I've always had to contest about just looking up people's records without really being able to, either, find a resource of someone that was there or somebody that watched it
Yeah,
back
no,
in the
but
day. Like, cause
yeah,
it's be totally different sometimes.
it's interesting to know how the show was founded. I find that really interesting. But the idea is
A small
that
part
we
of how it
can't
was founded, but yeah.
we can't change the history, and I'm noticing that people do this more and more in boxing. In baseball, you can't do that. World Series has a champion. NFL has a champion. Hockey has a champion. Here, no, this guy won. No, this guy won. No, this guy won.
Well, that's also
Well,
team. That's team
That's
sports.
that's
It's
how
kind of different
crooked
than relying on just one
and
opponent, one fighter, one fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a team
discombobulated
sport.
boxing is. It's just fucking
here's
discombobulated.
here's the difference,
I
right?
agree.
So,
But we're
like,
judging things. We're judging things, and that's
I
that's
agree.
how this is born.
baseball has its own things.
I
I'm
agree,
sure
James.
they sell out games where they don't try to win. They tank certain games too. So I agree. Like, some of those stats are not going to be right, but this is a little bit different because nobody cares about that. When you think about baseball, you think about like the records and stuff. Even that can be a little bit different because who's going to put an asterisk next to Barry Bonds? Who's going to go and have
They
an
did.
asterisk that says
They
Babe
did.
Ruth had to hit 460 feet home runs. Barry Bonds had to only hit at 323. Nobody's going to say that, right? That is for the fan. That's the fan that has to go out and actually pull that stuff up. And I'm sorry, but in boxing, we have a history of losing our fucking fights. Okay. Oh, it's gone. It's like NASA footage for the fucking government. Shit just disappears, right? So, so we're sitting here and we're gonna look in 20, 30, 40 years. All the ringside observers for Canelo
You guys are,
Golovkin,
not me.
for Canelo Golovkin won. Every ringside observer except those three fucking judges had it for Golovkin. Second fight, and I'll send you all these scorecards because they've been gathered. But that second fight, again, most saw it Golovkin or a draw. One had Canelo, right? One single person. And the record books, though, are going to say Canelo won, and the scorecards are going to be
all three fights.
Everything with that history is wrong. But
First
none
one
of
was
that
a draw
matters
for
because we're never going to know that backstory. And those people will remember Canelo's name, and Golovkin will be nothing. He already is almost forgotten in the sport.
Right. But the thing about it is, the thing about it is, like, and I get what James is saying as far as like the record's there and it's already written in stone per se.
Yeah,
and
we need to let it go.
Maybe to
I
the
get
casual
that.
fan, maybe to the casual fan that they just looking at the outside, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, he won this, he won this, he won that. He won't even bother to look back at the tape, right? But us that we know what happened, not only we understand the error that's on the record, but it's there, yeah, it's there as a win. But guess what? Everybody knows that that's a bad tainted spot in a white shirt in boxing. Yeah, it's a questionable win that you have there, and you can have it as a win, and you can go down the Hall of Fame route. But everybody's gonna know, and everybody's gonna ask you that question. It's kind of like Duran when Duran the No Mas fight, such a great fighter, one of my favorite fighters, solid champion. But nobody's gonna forget that bad day when he did that No Mas. You know what I'm saying?
And guess what? He didn't even actually say no mas. That was the referee that said no mas.
Right.
Said, so it's like that's in people's memory. They feel like, oh, when they hear no mas, they think of Duran. And then they also always forget about the rest of his career. 10 years at lightweight.
Well, no,
then
not
he
me.
jumps
I mean,
over. Let me finish. 10 years at lightweight. Then he jumps over 140, goes into 147, has one fight, and then goes and has the Sugar Ray Leonard fight in Montreal. Then goes on to be a middleweight and a super middleweight champion. Like, and all people remember in the States is no mas. It's ridiculous.
Well, do y'all know how to offset a bad decision? A knockout, which brings us to our next topic. Go ahead.
Okay. We ready.
I'm hungry. I just want to say one thing. We can't fix this. Yeah, it's just the way boxing is, and that's the beauty of boxing, and that's the ugly of boxing. but is boxing. That's why we're here.
True.
We facing it. We facing it because we having the discussion, and we're
we
saying what's really the real deal. Because
It's the
this is tough
beauty.
talk.
It's the
So
beauty
the-
of boxing.
and the common fans don't know, right? They just see the veil. We have to lift the veil, right? We are the veil lifters of boxing.
Right.
We have to be here to tell the truth.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go for it here.
Because we
Guys.
don't pull no fucking punches.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was.
Daniel Dubois destroyed AJ. Guys, it was an entertaining fight, how little it lasted. But AJ, he seems to have no punch resistance anymore. Anything that landed, I mean, he at least could get hit somewhat before. Anything that was flush for Daniel made him stumble across the ring. I mean, it was very visible on his face.
You know what? I'll go first. Sorry to cut you off. I just want to say that I agree with you, but it seems like everything was knocking him off balance. I mean, there was a few blows to the top of the head. There was a few blows to the jaw. Even the body work for Dubois seemed to be working. And my thing is that looking at Joshua coming in, he was not poised for this fight. He did not look the part. He looked really hesitant. He looked really tentative. He didn't look fired up. He was chin up, which I hate to see it. That's the first thing.
That part. It's like I know by now he knows you got to keep that chin tucked.
That's the first thing I notice in a fighter is, if it's really his chin's really prominent. I'm like, okay.
Sadly, it wasn't even and he was leading with his whole body. It was
this and this are not connected. You got to, well. So who am I talking to? A bunch of experts here. So and I really mean that. I'm not joking. No, I mean you guys know how it goes, right? He wasn't there from the get-go. I mean, this is round one.
I mean, he was buzzed pretty good in round one, but immediately the first swing, I think Emilio was like, "Damn, did he just buckle?" Like he felt like it was something that the commentators and stuff didn't see, but we saw it from our TV angles that even like in the beginning of the round, he was shook.
They saw that shit. They ignored that. And they were like, "Oh God, here we go."
But the question is no reaction to an overhand coming at you. Nothing.
Yeah, I mean
he just absorbed it.
He just ate it.
chin up in the air. So
right down the hallway.
I mean, it seems like a common theme. Every time he steps up the level of competition, we see this. And I have been questioning AJ's chin from the beginning of his career, and it shows up every time he steps up in class. It shows up, and this is not going to change. Javi, you on mute? We can't hear you.
No, he probably wanted to be on mute there.
He was
Oh
yeah, I was
there he is.
Yeah, no.
I thought he was talking to me.
No. I was gonna just chime in, but I didn't want to cut you in, and then I realized that I was on mute. But I'll go in since I have the spot per se. When you guys say, "Oh, AJ didn't look the part, and he wasn't reacting well, he wasn't there mentally," all of this stuff, I personally feel like that takes away from the person that's across the ring, because
for sure.
Everybody shows up to win. Even if you don't feel 100%, you still want to win. But again, it takes two to tango. So if you don't look the part, if you reacted to every punch, if you feel like you're not there, maybe right? Maybe for one 0.1% chance that is because the opponent that's in front of you is the one causing that effect. Like he's the one making you feel like you're not there. He's the one making you react to the punches. So I'm not gonna take away from Dubois, whatever you say his name, because he's a solid puncher. He's a strong dude. He has some solid boxing skills, which this makes me even more interested because now that he has the belt, I would love to see the rematch with Usyk, because I felt like that was like That was like a question mark. A fight for Usyk. I love Usyk. I think he's a solid champion. But the Dubois fight, the way that ended and the way how everything played out, that's a question mark. And what a best way for Dubois to get a belt, and they can run it back now, both at a belt. But again, pretty much AJ's. We all know that AJ have some flaws in his game, and he takes a good fighter like Andy Ruiz. Dubois now, Usyk, all these guys that has exploited those flaws and kind of like expose that. But the difference is that Dubois has tremendous power.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of him having to wait a few rounds to point out those flaws, it was like immediately, and then AJ. I mean, you could tell that when he got knocked out, he threw an uppercut from like 3 blocks away. So there's no way that you're gonna do that with Dubois with the type of boxing he has and not get countered. And that was a solid punch. It wasn't really a hard punch. It was just a well-timed punch. And
it was a nice counter. That's what it was. It was like
he left himself wide open.
And you can see he really didn't even put his body on it. He just extended his arm. He literally just extended his arm. He didn't even pivot with it. So but it landed right here. Money shot. So once you lay here, your legs go jello.
So let's all agree, based on that, let's all agree that now AJ and Wilder are now 50-50 again. We can now run this fight.
Well, there's something going on there that you got to watch out because you know that Usyk and Fury are going to fight again, right?
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so what if Fury wins? He can take on anyone he wants, and that could be Dubois. And if he loses, he can take on Joshua.
No.
So this is very interesting here.
It is.
It's very interesting. And I just learned that from watching one of the podcasts or it came to me watching one of the podcasts that I love. Mm-hmm. And I won't mention them on the podcast, but the idea is that, and it's from Florida. How's that? And so the idea is that it's all very interesting. All of a sudden, the heavyweight division has gotten like interesting, and there's a lot of things happening, and this is great. I love it.
Well, we also have Parker too that we have to throw in there because him with Andy Lee is amazing. And he's bringing out the best of him, and he's also saying, "Well, I want the winner of somebody because I've been sitting waiting for my chance." For titles, and they're all tied up right now. But he's been doing what he's supposed to do, so he deserves somebody. I don't know which one of these players.
Everybody deserves somebody.
Yeah,
in this division, which is exciting. Listen, Parker and Dubois both great comeback stories in this division, especially. Both of them have similar stories. William Hunter is correct. But Coley is now in the picture as a serious heavyweight contender as well.
He's a threat.
Zane is still there. But he kind of is there for the B level, I guess you could say. He probably is the step up fight.
Andy Ruiz is still floating around.
Ruiz is still there. Exactly.
He's the affirmative action champion.
All these heavyweights are there.
But William Hunter is on the money. I mean, Bakoli and Zhang, that would be a good fight. That would be a good fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, Bakoli can thump.
If he got Zhang out, he got some real power. If Bakoli can knock out Zane completely, then we know he got some true deal power.
And then you also have the baby guy, the big baby, whatever baby.
Big baby Miller.
I think he's
about
gone.
Jared Anderson.
I'm not gonna write him off yet, James.
Gerald Miller.
Only one loss. I don't want to be part of this Mayweather train and write anybody off of one loss. So he might come back. Never know. I was never a fan of him because he says that his heart is not in it, that he just did for the opportunities and blah blah blah. But at the same time, I'm not giving the benefit of the doubt. And I'm not gonna be part of the Mayweather train and write anybody that has one loss, write him off. So I'm gonna give him a chance. So I think he has solid boxing skills. He can make something with it, but he needs to be all the way in. You can't half step this shit. You can't do
You
half ass on
you
this
still
sport.
got FA
Okay,
out
so
there
you're talking
too.
about Gerald Miller, right?
FA is still out there
Hey,
too.
we got some heavyweights. We got some heavyweights. I love that because we have plenty of guys to come around. We also have that Italian guy, Gino something. He's also a heavyweight.
Vinelli.
Vanillo, something like that. Gino, I know. Yeah.
We got up and comers. We got Richard Torres look good this weekend in his fight. He's
Yep,
up and
Richard
coming. He's not there
Torres.
yet. The heavyweight division is looking good right now. But rant time. Lucas, put me on the main stage, okay? First off, Hobby, I wanna say you're absolutely right.
Always right.
Slide him over.
Daniel Dubois deserves credit. And what he's actually done, if you look at his latest fights, he's figured it out, guys. He's figured it out. He's figured out who he is and what he wants to do. Like Shakur mentioned earlier, he's been listening to his dad in the corner tremendously, not only in the fights, but leading up to the fights. He's figured it out. So I think a rematch with Usyk could be in trouble. So I want to give Dubois credit there. However, James, you tried to mention it that he looked off. And here's what I have to say. For everybody who's listening right now, we all on this panel love this sport. We love this sport tremendously. We all know in boxing, it's the one sport you cannot play. You cannot cheat or play in this sport. The look that I got from Anthony Joshua, and we have to go back to this because Shakur mentioned it as well. When he gets to this platform, when he gets to this stage, he doesn't show up. He doesn't perform. There's 96,000 people in this stand. A record. He's never been amongst the crowd like this before. And they're all rooting for him. He's the favorite. He comes out. He has graphics and everything going off. He has the songs going off. He has the 15-minute ring walk going off and all of that. What I saw when he got in this stage is that he's playing this sport. He doesn't care about who's across from him. He didn't care about what he needed to do in the ring. What I saw, in my opinion, was the only thing he was worried about, and that he was paying particular attention to, was the fact that he felt like he was going to get his hand raised in victory in front of 96,000 people, and he would get all the headlines, and the fight didn't even start yet. It didn't even start
You know
yet.
what it reminded me of, guys?
I
Remember when
disagree.
Mikey Garcia had the fireworks and all that stuff before the fight even started against Xander? And guess what happened? Xander got the W. Like, this is similar to, like, I was like, why is there fireworks? Like, he haven't even fought yet. Like, it's like you setting yourself up.
Exactly.
It's almost like y'all
It
are
was
celebrating
huge.
and he haven't even, won the fight yet.
This was enormous, though.
Let me
This was
get this out
enormous.
real quick,
Hey,
though, James.
I like Dubois' entrance, though. I thought it was badass. He had his own badass entrance.
Okay.
Let me get this out first real quick, though. So there's two, and I've said this, and I'm going to say it again. There are two Anthony Joshuas. There are two AJs. There's Anthony Joshua.
You're right.
When he's not under the pressure in the limelight. And then there's AJ Ass Juice Joshua.
I knew you just wanted to say you did all that just so you could say ass juice.
And that's who AJ is when he's under the spotlight. He
What are you
turns
talking about?
into
He's always under the
he
spotlight.
turns
Every fight
into
is
ass
majority his
juice.
fans. Every fight is majority his fans.
I
Did
tell
you
you
see
what,
that
though, yeah,
Dubois, who's also a United Kingdom citizen, okay, he's from the UK too, they were silent when he won. Like, he
yeah,
didn't get the kind of
Yeah, that's all
accolades
right.
and
That's
applause
yeah.
and
okay.
things that
That's
everybody else
okay.
gets when they win against a champion like that.
And
These
tell you
people
what,
were stunned.
yeah,
These fans was like, like in shock mode. And it just
Mm-hmm.
goes to show that AJ's pull is tremendous. And
yes,
not, yes, and it
Was.
doesn't even matter if he wins or loses, because UK fans, they are not like us. We are finicky, okay, with our fans.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But
but UK fans, they are ride or die type fans. So
yeah, but
they're
there's
gonna
two.
see him no matter what condition he shows up in. And I think kind of in the back of his head, he kind of knows that.
Yeah, but
So
there's two types. There's two types of fans here. One of them is a fan that's in the know like us, and the other one's in the romantic mode, also known as head up your ass. So
Exactly.
what's what Sakura,
Exactly.
what you laughing at? No, the idea is that
that's
because
like
they're
three
cheering,
asses. That's
they're
three asses in this segment already.
Yeah.
they're
Because
cheering for him
he
because he's
fought like
big and
ass
beautiful
juice.
and everything, and that's all fine. But you know what? When it comes down to boxing, beauty and grace and body and all that shit matter nothing. It doesn't matter how big you are, how muscular you are. Cartilage
How good
knows
looking you look.
yeah,
Or
cartilage
how many
knows
fans you bring. Or how many
cartilage
Yeah.
fans
like
you bring.
your nose knows pain. And you know what? If you get hit in the nose,
Mm.
we'll see who you are. We'll see who you are immediately. Heavyweight punch from Dubois to the nose to the jaw, like he did in the last punch when he went down. He
Yeah.
couldn't even get up. He couldn't even sit up. Couldn't sit on his ass.
But
Couldn't.
James,
His legs were up in the air.
that's
He
not
was
on.
he. You just can't. You just can't. There's no substitution for what we in Spanish we say is huevos, balls.
Mhm.
You get up.
Yeah, yeah.
You
they
get
call
up
it
and you
cojones.
cojones, and that's it.
Well,
That's
he
They
tried to
and you
get
know
up,
what?
and
I'm
he still
sorry.
fell. Look, he tried to get
Sorry.
up.
But
Now,
that's
damn
not
it,
it,
He
guys.
tried, but you know
Dubois,
what? He couldn't because he was lacking cojones.
he fell.
Dubois
No, he
made him
fell
look.
on his damn shoulders. And like when he tried to get up, and he just like kind of
Yeah,
fell. Like you could tell, like he was still discombobulated, as they
yeah,
say.
Well,
yeah.
And
I
listen.
don't know about the whole statement. I don't think it was a lack of cojones, though, James. I think he actually
It,
tried to get
it
up. His body
he
just shut
did.
down.
He
yeah,
did,
he
and
Now,
he
did get
couldn't.
up a few times.
Why?
Because I mean, how
but
many times
but
did
I,
he
I'm
get
gonna
dropped
say
in
that.
that
Le
But
fight?
falta, le falta.
But
I
listen,
now,
y'all. Listen, man.
How many
Robert,
Dubois.
times did he get
to your
dropped in
ass
that fight,
juice,
guys?
to your ass juice, Robert, to your ass juice comment. I guess 96K 96,000 people showed up to Wembley Stadium to see Ash Jude. And guess what? Even now, after a loss, he
And
might
they
fight.
saw.
I don't know. He could fight. Shit, Jake Paul next, and there's gonna be 100K people in that stadium.
Right, right,
He's
It,
gonna
it's
right.
bring the people regardless.
it's funny
You
you
cannot
Because
Mm-hmm.
mentioned
take that
that.
away from him. You
It's
cannot take that
because
away from him. And I'll tell
Javi,
you
it's
that.
it's funny you mentioned that because I
Ha-
put him in that category. To me, he is like an entertainment celebrity boxer.
bam.
If you can lose like that and still have a
right.
fan base, he looks good and he just shows up and he looks good and he fights. I mean, you could tell
And
somebody
you,
a stance even. You're like, dude, have you fought a day in your life? Like, it did not make sense. He did not show up. He did not train for this fight. And this motherfucker says he did. He's lying. He
Well, you
just
know
went through the
what?
motions.
Well, no,
With
and
look
It's
at
a
listen.
bank to
with
him.
the
It is an
UK,
ATM. It's
And
like
listen.
Jake
Hold on.
Paul.
Let,
He's
let me
showing
remember,
let me
up,
rebut.
taking the money, and he's out the road.
I gotta tell you one thing. There's two Anthony Joshuas. One shows up ready to throw and fucking get down and dirty, and the other one doesn't. And this was the
Ass
other.
juice.
He
That's
didn't.
ass
He
No,
juice.
there's
thank
no
you. He
difference.
didn't.
Here's the
no,
Yes,
here's
it
the
is.
Juice.
thing.
Yes, it
every
is.
time he
It's
Again,
steps
taking
up
yes.
away
in
Look
from
at
the
it.
talent.
boy.
Yes,
Just
it
Hold
taking
on.
is.
away
Let,
from the
Jab.
It's
boy.
every
hold on.
time he steps up in talent. You guys just went through the list
It's
of boxers
the
that
resume. Yeah.
happens with him. And
But
and also I just want to point out that the UK has a history of this. They find a good looking athlete that looks great, somebody like David Hay.
Put some
But
on
David
TV.
Hay is different
Beckham.
because he was a real deal, heavyweight boxer. He did great in his career. But they like that particular type of athlete for some reason, or boxer, and they do make them celebrity athletes. They totally do. Like David Hay right now could be on any show over there, even for a little cameo, and people still go crazy for him.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah, but why
it's
isn't Daniel? Why isn't
and
Daniel Dubois that guy?
because he's not good looking like that.
Nah, I think he
They
is.
like good looking. They
Side by
like good
side.
I
looking
don't think that.
As my
Side by
middle
men. That's what
schooler
they
would say,
love.
he doesn't have the riz.
The
Right.
The
But at the same
riz.
marketability.
time,
Don't
guys,
have the riz.
You listen
It's
I
the
to
think
him.
Can
behind the
you?
marketability.
this,
I gotta
guys,
get
let's
you
be
to
honest
elaborate.
here.
Sorry,
It's show
Dubois.
business.
I'm sorry,
Listen
Dubois,
to
because
him
I
talk.
still
Hold on,
love
hold
you,
on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
But it's
How,
some
how
guys
the
that they
What
got a
is
certain
Riz?
look that they like. And I
Charisma.
and it's
That's what I call
evident.
it. Riz.
Come on.
Charisma.
Charisma.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Listen
they
to
got
Yeah.
him after the
personality
fight.
too, but they
I
gotta
only
I
know
have
used to
that
learn that. I
look.
sus.
used to learn that from my children because I didn't know what the hell was Riz.
Me too.
I
Me
only
too.
know
I was like,
I
sus.
what
don't
the
think
hell
it's
is that?
charisma. Some of them
It
can act
is.
like,
But
ass juices. I think that it is a specific marketability to certain appearances that they like. The
Riz.
same with
Riz.
women.
Riz.
I
It
mean,
Riz.
looks
it's
right,
like there's a
bland,
Riz.
good looking woman that
Riz.
can't
Look
fight,
at
but
him
she's
after the
fine as
fight, though.
hell. You
And
want to
look,
watch her.
let me
Look at him after
rewind
the
back
fight.
to my
He
statement.
didn't.
Okay, hold on. Let me come back here. So my
I'm
statement
just
again
saying.
was I'm putting him on that level. And no way am I not saying he's still not some kind of freak athlete. Dude is huge. Dude has capabilities, and I think that dude can just show up and knock out a Robert Helenius. That's not saying something, but going in there and beating a Daniel Dubois, that was saying something, and you ain't fucking ready for that. You weren't prepared for that. You didn't train for that. You didn't expect that.
And he looked like ass juice. Okay? Daniel Dubois made him look like ass juice.
tell
The
you
man
what,
got knocked out
Can
with
I
his
can I
ass
say
up
something
in the
too?
air. His
that
ass
as good,
Just,
was
like
can
I
I
up
said,
say one
in the
thing,
he's
air
feeling
guys?
like
like
ass
Can I
stadium.
juice.
mention one thing though about Dubois? Now, his strategy, that was a good ass strategy. He didn't let him have a round off. There was no filling out first round. No, he went at him right away.
Right. Right.
That was a great strategy. His team, they did that right. That was correct. Like it threw him off from the get-go
Thank
just
you.
because he can't. So it was also the strategy that Dubois had, as well as the power that he has. It was also about the strategy that he had, not to allow him to warm up and get set up or anything. He came in the ring and he was basically cold. So he basically his team they knew that. Somehow they knew that he was not going to come in there like warmed up and ready to go, and they took full advantage of that by
So
going
are you
after him
saying
right away.
Are you saying Dubois stole one? Huh?
No, I think
No,
she's
I'm just
saying.
saying. Go ahead,
I
Harvey.
think,
Tell it.
yeah, I think what you're doing is what we should have been doing since we started this topic, giving Dubois his
His
credit.
credit,
You know
right?
what I'm saying? Now,
He did the
to
one
the
thing we
whole
knew he had to do. Attack the chin. Joshua ain't got no damn chin, never has.
they're
Never
heavyweight,
has.
Rob.
Let,
They
let,
Never
let
heavyweight.
me
has.
Even if they
I'm
have
gonna
a
mention
chin,
something.
Never has.
the amount of power that they're taking is different. You know, it's easier to have a chin when you're fighting 135 and under. When you're fighting 150 and under, them shots are different. They're coming with power. Now, to the whole thing that you guys were saying about marketability, guys, let's be honest here. It's beyond boxing, even outside of boxing.
Right.
Sadly, if you're good looking, if you have some type of good looking gene, people will generally be attracted to you. And that happens
Right.
outside of boxing in different sports. There are different athletes that are not the best at what they do, but because they have the good looking genes, they get a lot of,
Mhm.
promotions, sponsorships, and all of that. I think
Yeah.
AJ is part of that, but also AJ personality. He connected to the people. He is
Yeah.
Right.
in the way the
That's
people
true.
can. So
That's
people are
true.
drawn to him. You know what I'm saying? He's a humble guy. So we're not gonna just write that off because of one loss. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe 2 or 3 losses, whatever he has. I feel like he was there with a better man, and you could Dubois basically expose the flaws, and he exposed the difference between levels. There's levels to this shit. And
Mhm.
Dubois let him know, like, yeah, I might not have a title, but you way levels behind me. He showed it, And you know what I'm saying? We gotta accept that. We cannot just say, "Oh, he's ass juice. He wasn't there. He didn't train. He didn't." That's taken away from what Dubois did. That's us trying to say like, "Oh well, because AJ wasn't fully there, that's why Dubois got the win." And that's not true
And it's
because
like,
even
no, it was a good
No.
strategy.
But we're not trying to discredit Dubois here at all.
No,
What
he's
we're
just
talking
saying
about,
that we shouldn't do that.
is more about a mentality that AJ brings to the ring, and sometimes it's not there. Sometimes he's got a killer mentality. Sometimes he doesn't. And this fight, he didn't. He didn't look like he wanted to be there. He didn't look like he was fired up. He didn't look like he was ready for war. You see it in fighters' faces.
I
They're
will say
ready
one
for.
thing is
They're,
that
you can tell.
sometimes,
You can tell.
it's easier to look like you don't want to be there.
but
I can
also
tell you.
I
I
can
can tell
say
you
that
that sometimes
sometimes
Especially
you
with
can
fighters.
that
have
chin.
a sparring, you can
Fight,
have a training camp with rough sparring, or something happens during your sparring, and then it carries over into that fight night.
but don't make
So
excuses for this
I'm
man.
not making excuses for him. I'm just saying this is a actual a really big problem when it comes to brain injuries and stuff, because people are getting hurt before they even get to the ring for the actual fight
Yeah,
because of
but
some of this rough sparring that people do.
here's my
And
point. Here's
I'm
my
just
point.
saying that that also factors in on how much you can actually take. If you're kind of
Shakura, I
semi
got it.
Half,
concussed before you
but
even get to the ring,
I
it's not
got it,
going to
the
take.
Shakura.
the but the point
I'm
that I
not
want to
saying
make
that's the
is,
case. I'm not saying that's the case for this fight. I'm saying that in some of these
well,
fights, it
I
does play a factor in how they perform the night of the fight. So
I
this is
appreciate
something.
that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that, but I think in this case, Joshua did not walk into the ring ready for war.
Well,
It
I
just
agree,
didn't look that way.
but
It
Shakura
just
can
doesn't look that way in
I
his
don't know.
body
Shakura can
language. It just, I mean, in his coming out in the first round with his hands low and his chin up, is like, this guy just isn't there
Yeah,
mentally. It
yeah, it
just
was.
doesn't
yeah,
make sense. It just
I
doesn't
agree.
work. This
And
shit is not adding up with Joshua. And he's got good nights and he's got bad nights, and I think this was one of those bad nights. He
and
Yeah,
just wasn't
Shakura,
I
ready.
just think that
And it's up here. It's up here. He
Shakura, I
lost
I
this
got
just think
battle.
something
he
for
was
He
you too,
lost
though.
cold.
he lost this battle.
I got
He
I
something
don't
wasn't
for you
know,
there.
too, though,
but I
Shakura.
know that he came in the ring and he was pretty damn cold. And Dubois' team was ready for that. They went
But
right at him
I
right
think all
away
things are
and
true.
hurt him in the first
well,
round. He
Lucas, you
never
know what would help
recovered
him
after
now?
that point.
Using
Mhm.
Shakura's logic would help him is to go take some of them that extra fucking muscle he has and get plastic surgery and put it on his chin.
I don't
That
know
was
that works.
terrible. You
Uh,
All
was
right.
terrible,
uh,
Rob.
I don't know that
So
works.
so
And don't
with
put my
Javi
name in
left.
that shit.
Javi left up out of here. So
That is not what I
back
said.
to Javi's point and your guys' point when we're talking about Du Bois. If you want that cred, then look at the after the fight conference when they came and talked to him after the fight. Who you want to fight next? Y'all see the whole crowd was in on. Not only was the crowd, Usyk was at ringside. Uh,
Fury
uh,
was at ringside.
Fury was at ringside. They were all right there, and they were all in awe, up, jumping at the loss, at the knockout, right? So what I would have did is I would have said, What do you want to say to them two people right there?" And I'd have pointed right at them, and I'd say, "What do you got to say to them?" No, instead he says, "I want to fight whoever gives me the most money." That's not what we want to hear in boxing no more. Fuck the money. No, point at them and say, "What do you want to say to them?" Usyk, you're next. Fury, I'm coming after you. I want all the belts. That's what he should have did.
I
Well,
mean,
he did say Usyk. He said I would like
Yeah.
the rematch. He did say his name specifically.
No,
Yeah, because
cuz
there
But
was a little
but
guys,
controversy in
also
that
it's
fight.
like, don't
There
even
was
say somebody's
controversy
name and
there.
you know that
Yeah.
he's going to be tied up with Fury for another fight or two. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a lot of money in that fight as well. But guys, I can't be on here much longer, so I did want to make sure that we talked about some of these female fights that's coming up. Two of which are this week. Mikaela Mayer versus Ryan, I keep
Sandy Ryan.
Sandy Ryan. Oh my God, that is,
Michaela,
watch out for that fight. It's gonna be amazing. Sandy
Michaela in
Ryan
a new weight
is a
class,
true
right?
real deal boxer.
I believe so.
And she knows her shit. And Michaela Mares, she's good for it. And she showed that she's able to get in there and get dirty with it too. So that's gonna be a great matchup. And then Alycia Baumgardner's coming back for her fight against Persoon. And that's Katie Taylor's rival from
Yeah,
back in the
Delfine
day.
Persoon.
So yeah, so that Delphine is they all fighting on Friday night. That's what I hate about it. They both are coming on Friday night.
Yeah, competing with each other.
Yes, and then I have to bring up that Tim Zoo is gonna be in Orlando, Florida, baby. He's fighting a champion. I forget his name. That's so sad, but he's gonna be fighting him with PBC coming to Orlando at the Creed Royale, and they're going to have Yo Ennis Telez, who's like a knockout artist, who's a box lab boxer. He's also going to be on that card here in October. So these are all fights that I'm excited about right now, and just make sure you check out the women this weekend for sure.
Definitely. And that's ESPN and
Hell
ESPN
yes.
Plus. We
Yes.
were going to get to that. We did just go a little bit long winded in some of these topics, but that's what happens when we get, when the show's good, it kind of gets out of hand a little bit. But I'm going to go round table here. You can say one last thing about what's next for Dubois, and I think we're going to end it for the night. It is getting late. James, what do you think's next for Dubois?
What's next for Dubois? Fuck, good question. It's not a rematch because it makes no sense. There is a big fat guy that's 6'9"
Oh,
that
excuse me.
has got a fight with Usyk, and maybe he waits for the winner of that. Other than that, I would need to look it up a little bit and try to figure it out.
Well, yeah.
Fuck.
We all saw the size of
You
Fury.
got me
That
on this
was
one. You got me on
shocking.
this one.
Well, I
Um,
mean, it was just
uh,
what did you think would
well,
be next? Yeah.
yeah, no, that's a good question, but I haven't even given it any thought. If it's not a rematch and there's no reason for it, um, and he's lost to Usyk, maybe a rematch with Usyk, provided Usyk wins.
Okay.
So I don't know. Not a good answer, but
No,
that's what I got.
I mean, hey, Fury said he's going to rematch you to get those belts. Then he's going to come after Dubois. So maybe that's what we see. Score?
Yeah, what's next for who is the question. I mean, everybody is kind of like got a lot of matchups that they can have at heavyweight. Dubois is now someone that could be feared in the heavyweight division. Including Usyk probably doesn't want to have a rematch with him after seeing that performance. We never know. But also, I just want to say that I'm really, really excited about the women boxing right now. There's a lot of great women boxing that's coming up. I mentioned two that were just this week, but that there's a couple of other ones that I have posted, Lucas, if you want to check them out,
Sure.
including Tiara Brown, who has been the number one mandatory contender for Sky Nicholson forever, and she's trying to call her out. So,
Mm.
these are some interesting fights that's coming up for the ladies. And I just remember I posted today that there was an old post where it was 2019, and I said this women's is,
I see. Yeah.
yeah, it's this like it's popping, and that was 2019. And now looking at it now, it's like even more amazing because we got ladies as the main events this weekend, two of them on two different cards. And then of course we have that huge co-main event with Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, November 15th, baby, on that Mike Tyson versus Fury card. So
If
this
that
is
happens.
this is just going to be an amazing opportunity for the ladies to showcase their talent as the co-main event on that particular most valuable promotions call.
That one might turn out to be the main event.
It was really cool to see, and you could see the gradual build of
Progress.
how women's boxing is. So it's good to see that at least part of the sport's moving in the right direction. The men, I don't know if I could say the same thing. Rob, final words for the night. Send us off with something classy and knowledgeable and amazing. What you got?
Well, before that, you asked everybody a question, but me.
I asked them. Sakura kind of did her own thing too. So I said, "Hey, Rob, just take it. You rapid fire, just do something."
For me, Dubois, I want to see Dubois. I really want to see Dubois Parker. Okay,
yes,
because it's two great redemption stories.
Yes,
and that comes full circle. They both have respect from each other. They're both dangerous fighters, as dangerous as they can get right now. That's a hell of a fight. I want to see that on a Usyk Fury type undercard. Okay, we need to start stacking these undercards, and
Rob the matchmaker. I like it.
That's really what I'll leave you with is, a lot of hype about this undercard, really, and it was mainly for the British fans, okay, because we really didn't have a dog in the fight, so to speak, with the US. We didn't have any fighters hardly on this card. We didn't know who all these fighters were per se, and that kind of took away from it. And not only that, the performances. There was only one knockout prior to the main event. There was only one knockout on the card, and there wasn't a whole lot of action either. Let's be honest. So, and it's not just this being a British card. The cards that we've seen here with the Canelo undercard, there was some lackluster fights in it. We talked about the Danny versus Lara controversy. And that was a co-main, and that was horrendous. And then we do get some surprises, but we need more marquee matchups, period, on these undercards. We're losing it on the Bivol fight because Shakur Stevenson is now out with a hand injury. So that whole undercard, I believe, has been scrapped. We just need to get back to making more marquee matchups, more undercards that are worthy of us. And if you do that, we might stop streaming.
I think so, and I think the Canelo numbers were good for pay-per-view. They were rather high. I can't remember off the top of my head, but especially for a Berlanga who really didn't have a resume or any reason to really get excited.
Mexico
what sold
versus
that?
Puerto Rico, baby.
Well,
Mexico versus
you say
Puerto Rico.
that. I say you had a list of actual fights, right? You didn't just sell the main event like Canelo tries to do.
That's true.
There was a good pay-per-view lineup there, so I will give them that. I will give them that.
All right, that's true.
But it's been a nice, good show. I'm glad everybody tuned in. Please always check us out next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. As always, we don't pull any punches, and we'll see you next week.